Okay.
It's a little different.
It's a pleasure to be here, and I want to thank all of you for taking the time to come out here. One of the things that Jane was commenting about our firm is we have a number of folks that have served on the public sector side of the dais as elected officials, as chief of staff of city, assistant city managers, economic development directors, and we always understand the most important part of any type of a project isn't it being a developer-driven project, it has to be a community-driven project. And so getting feedback, getting input from everybody that's sitting here today is extremely important. We're the master developer on 54 city blocks in downtown Amarillo, Texas. And before the gavel even came down with the plan as far as moving forward, we had over 100 public meetings. And some of them may have just been 5 or 6 people. Some of them may have been hundreds of people at those different meetings. So this isn't just our desire to articulate a vision and talk about what we would like to do. More importantly, it's our desire to understand what your goals and objectives are, what your likes, dislikes, as we go through this. And if you see things that are terribly wrong, we want to hear about that. See things that you like, we also want to hear about that as well. But I will tell you, I was the mayor of the city of Sugar Land, Texas, about 22 miles southwest of Houston for 3 terms. And while I was mayor, that was when Hurricane Katrina came through New Orleans, Hurricane Rita, Hurricane Ike. We had a number of different events such as that. And there is no playbook as to how you deal with that type of a situation. This community obviously has been a community that I think the entire world has continued to look at, say these are the best practices as it relates to recovery, the best practices as to how a community comes together to basically help itself. And I will tell you that I've seen a lot of leadership groups in different communities. Many of them pretty bad. Many of them, when you go, they just don't know exactly what they're doing. Their head goes into the sand. But the people like Troy Bolander back in the back, the leadership that this community has and has had in the past is second to none. Would you guys join me in a round of applause? Just to say thank you. I know Troy hates it when I do that, but believe me, I've been to communities and said, all right, here's a public-private partnership, here's how we can do this. And you have people in the leadership capacity, mayor, city manager, economic development folks, saying, oh, we can never do that. Well, why can't we do that? Well, we've never done it before. Well, just because it has never been done before doesn't mean it can't be done. And the leadership that we've seen here has basically thought outside the box. And as we've moved forward with different ideas, they've been phenomenal to work with. Want to talk a little bit about, this is just the agenda for tonight, our development team. Once we opened up our operation here, we hired 4 folks that basically lead this community operation for Wallace Magellan. And these are individuals that I think many of you have seen in this community for many, many years. Many of them were born and raised here and have been in this community for a long time. We also want to talk about some of the goals and objectives that we have. And again, we're giving you our thoughts. And as we go through many of these thoughts, these are projects that, in fact, in a moment, we'll show the first $800 million or so of projects that we're moving forward with. These are projects that we've announced to City Council. We've gone through it. We've got business plans. We've got co-development partners. We know where the capital is coming from in order to do these projects. And that's 19 projects, but we also have over 20 additional projects that we haven't even started announcing yet, that we're still trying to put more meat on the bones. But all in all, when we first sat down, we basically focused on about $1.9 billion of redevelopment projects here in Joplin. We want to talk about the path forward, the steps that we would like to take, and then kind of go through the different questions and comments. And as Jane indicated, we too would like your input. And so we've got Wallace Poggiali team members that are going to be sitting at these tables over here as well. And if you see a project that you really like or don't like, or you think it's a great project and it should go in a certain area of the community, we want to hear your thoughts. Our development team, these are the first 4 hires that we have here in Joplin. Bruce Anderson. Bruce, do you mind standing up? Many of these projects that we have, as I mentioned before, every single project that we have has to be steeped in economics. It has to be something that makes financial sense. The last thing we're going to do is build a project that fails. I mean, sure, failures happen all the time, but as we go through this, we want to make sure we've got market studies, financial analysis, a capital structure that makes sense on these different projects. So it behooves us to have somebody that's been in the banking industry almost all their life here in Joplin. Bruce Anderson obviously fits that bill. Bruce, do you mind just saying a few words?
Sure. Thank you, David. Really want to appreciate all of you taking the time tonight to come out on a Monday evening and share your thoughts with us about projects as we move forward. One of the projects I'm very interested in and very excited about, and actually one of the main reasons why I'm so excited to be part of this team is the concept of a new library. Comments I've heard is our current library is outdated, it's not ADA accessible, it has roof leaks, and as I think about this, I thought, what would be better than to say that Joplin could have a brand new, state-of-the-art library. It wouldn't cost the citizens a penny. And people said that's not possible. It is. State-of-the-art library, brand new, ADA accessible, all the latest bells and whistles, and won't cost a penny for that structure. And that's one of the things I'm so excited about, and I'd like to hear your comments tonight, and I'll be happy to discuss that project or any of the others with all of you this evening. Just please, we encourage you to come, share your vision, share your comments about the future. We want to hear the good things that you think. If you've got a concern, we want to hear that too. So appreciate you coming tonight.
Thank you. Next person on the list, Gary Box. When we first landed here, one of the first things that we did is, all right, well, what are the private sector assets that were lost? What were the public sector assets? And equally important, what were the CART findings? What did the citizens want in addition to that? And also, what are some of the capital improvement projects that the city has 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road? How can we aggregate all of that and move forward? And we were here, I think the very first day was July 25th of last year. And one of the first people I met was Gary Box over at the Joplin Chamber. And this year on July 25th, I could just tell you could tell I was upset. Went throughout the whole day, and then late in the afternoon, he said, "Why have you been so cranky all day?" I said, I almost cried. I mean, it was my 1-year anniversary. He didn't buy me flowers. If anything, it was terrible. But Gary and I have become very good friends, and as we started working on the overall economics of this, what we're going to go through is many of the programs, these are being financed through revenue streams, are being financed through finance structures that 60 days ago or a year ago didn't even exist here in Joplin. And so having somebody from an economic development background so that we understand where the federal, state, and local money is buried, so to speak, so that we can bring that to the table. But Gary fits that bill, obviously working with the Chamber from an economic development standpoint. Do you mind saying a few words, Gary?
Thank you. Thank you all for being here. I'm the lifelong resident here. It's truly a privilege to do what we're doing. I hope you all have the utmost confidence in us as we are going to succeed. Failure is not an option. As Bruce discussed the library, in economic development, we look for opportunities to promote and better the economic impact. What we have in mind for the location where the library currently is, the 300 block Main Joplin, is a postgraduate education facility. We are talking to some people about this. Trust us, this could be significantly one of the biggest economic impacts this city's ever seen. We want it, we're actively seeking it, and hopefully the benefit's going to be there, and they choose. I'll be glad to talk to you this evening about that and any other project that you have. Like David says, we've got 19 of them right now. This is economic development on steroids, honestly, but we're up for the bill.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You know, we are somewhat of a unique development firm. We don't just look at it from the standpoint of build something, how much money can make it, and be done with it. Because we have so many folks within our organization that have served on the public sector side of the dice, we approach things unique. We approach things as, all right, now how is that going to affect crime rates? How is that going to affect the property tax rates? How is that going to affect economic development, the quality of life, as opposed to just a particular project? This one that Gary's talking about, that's $50 million a year economic impact of this community. $50 million a year. That's big in any community, let alone one that has 50,000 as its population. And so those are the type of assets that we'll go through some of those in a moment, but they're very significant. Christine, where's Christine? That's back there. It was really funny because the very first day that we announced kind of who our leadership team was here in Joplin, I was in Jefferson City, and Rob O'Brien, the president of the Joplin Chamber, was there. And I said, Rob, how you doing? He said, well, that depends. How many people am I going to have any employees left when I get back to the office? Obviously, having Gary that was with the chamber and Christine that was with the chamber as well. But again, having somebody that has a strong economic development background, again, those were different things that we were trying to bring to the table. Christine, do you mind saying a few words?
Sure. Thank you all for being here. David gave me the toughest, easiest decision I've ever made before in my life. I love the chamber, but I'm glad to be a part of this. I've been in Joplin 20 years. Both of my brilliant children are products of Joplin schools. So, like all of you here, I have a heart for this community. I'm going to be over here talking about senior transitional housing. So, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything, I'll be right back here and look forward to seeing you all.
All right, thank you. And then last but not least, and again, we're going to be adding additional folks. We've got Karen Love. Karen joined us, and as I mentioned before, many of our projects are finance driven. And so having somebody that's a mortgage banker, somebody that's been in finance all of her life is extremely helpful. And when we first started talking to Bruce, one of the first things that he said, I know exactly who I need to bring to the table, and that's Karen. Karen, do you mind saying a few words?
Sure. Thank you. My background actually comes from direct consumer lending, working with individuals being able to purchase homes. That's what I've done for the last 25 years, and that's what's so exciting about our plans here. One of the 19 programs is the principal reduction plan. Now, based upon this plan, we're going to be able to talk about down payment assistance, helping people get into homes moderately, immediate equity that's in that home. And that is just so exciting, and I'm so passionate about it. So it's just a wonderful program. And I know David will talk a little bit about it in the future, but I'll also be right over here. So if anyone wants to have specific questions, please come and see me.
We also have Robin Paoli with us. Robin, why don't you wave as well? Robin works with a company called Marion Montgomery. When I was the mayor of Sugar Land, we did over $3 billion of public-private partnerships just in real estate alone. I'm not talking about water, wastewater, solid waste disposal. Literally just real estate, public-private partnerships, over $3 billion. We engaged Marion Montgomery when I was on the public sector as a marketing firm to basically come to the table to help in those efforts. Since then, projects that we've done in Pearland, in Waco, in Amarillo, other communities where we have a public-private partnership, they've come along as well. And when I talk about marketing and some of these particular programs, this is not just marketing, how can we build an office building in the EDR and then market to get people to come and fill it up. That becomes a zero-sum game if we're moving somebody from one part of Joplin to another, or from Webb City to the EDR area. Our program is how can we market to the four-state area so that the overall economy can grow. And that's what our goal is. In many of these programs, you can't just look at them in a vacuum. You have to look at them as how does it affect the quality of life, so that when we're sitting down talking to the CEO of a company that has 500 employees, here's the reason why you want to move your team to the city of Joplin. These are the attributes. These are the assets that this community has. So that's basically what we're focusing on. And I talked before about Troy Bolander as well. Part of our team is the city of Joplin. And again, I can't say enough about this organization, the leadership here in the city of Joplin. And some examples, we were looking at some funding programs that we literally had to make some immediate decisions in connection with this. And in less than 3 days, there was an emergency city council meeting, and we moved forward. And that's something that will bring about $20 million of grant capital cash to this community. And in most